Hello, everyone. For those of you just joining us, my name is Kelsie Stewart, and I am the Chief Community Officer at FabCafe, and I am joining you today from Tokyo, Japan. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the third session of our Forward Feedback Session series for the Circular Summit hosted by FabCafe and Loftwork. The aim of the Circular Summit is to create a consortium for learning and includes theme talks, open feedback sessions, and a rich discussion among internationally and professionally diverse game changers in the circular economy. Our third feedback session focuses on the topic of creating scalable impact with the circular economy. Many circular businesses struggle to scale. In this panel, we hope to shine a light on the make or break moment of circular business. How can we plan to scale? When is the right time to scale? How can we implement the workflow and structure of a business that allows for growth, expansion, and scalability? How can we create and evaluate dynamic interventions? Our panel today will be held in 4 parts. First, we will hear an introduction from 3 of the 19 circular judges. Following this, we will hear a 5-minute pitch from several of the winners of the Circular Awards, telling us about their award-winning work. After hearing from both the judges and the winners, we will have a 20-minute open feedback session where judges and winners can freely comment and discuss each other's works. The 4th and final session will be a guided crosstalk on the topic of today's session, creating scalable impact with the circular economy, moderated by FabCafe co-founder and circular judge Kalaya Kovidvisith. These are the judges who will be joining us today for the keynote speeches. First, we have Mohamed Muse Hassan. He is the director at the Institute of Innovation, Tech, and Entrepreneurship at SIMAD University. Second, we have Willemijn Iongh. She is a landscape facilitator at Commonland. Third, we have Professor Singh, who is an architect and associate professor at Kasetsart University. He is also the design principal at OSISU. Finally, as mentioned previously, we have the moderator, Kalaya Kovidvisith, who is the FabCafe Bangkok co-founder and also one of the judges for the Circular Awards. So without any further ado, I would like to warmly welcome Mohamed to give his 15-minute keynote speech for today's panel.
Thank you very much, Kelsie. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are following us. My name is Mohamed Muse Hassan. I'm, as mentioned by Kelsie, I'm the director of the Institute of Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship. Yeah, so basically, we are an institute of innovation, and we are a university-based incubation hub, and we basically do innovation, tech, and entrepreneurship education in Somalia and the region. So before I discuss about how we got into the circular economy, please allow me to share a little bit of where we are and what we're doing. The institute was established in end of December 2018, but it was officially launched in January 2019. We are a fully-fledged innovation hub. So like you would expect from an innovation hub, what we do is we offer skill development, we do mentorship and coaching, we also do incubation and acceleration, and we have the largest and the first digital fabrication space in Somalia, and we offer co-working space and research and consultants. So basically, to give you a little bit of an idea of why we're doing this is, as many of you would be aware of, Somalia has a huge challenge of unemployment in the country. And the country, like the universities, produce a huge amount of graduates every year, but the challenge is the lack of industries in the country. So for this, the market cannot accommodate the number of graduates every year. So what we're trying to do is to establish other routes for employment, like, for example, entrepreneurship and freelancing. So that's why we came into existence. So basically what we do is we adopt action learning or learning by doing, such as project-based learning. We offer practical courses on design thinking, agile development, lean startup, and effectual entrepreneurship. We also have, like, all our programs are student-centered programs, and we also collaborate with the private sector. So yeah, to achieve all of this, we do have programs, different programs. One is the Next Economy, which is funded by the Foreign Ministry of Netherlands. We also have the Empower Next Generation, which is a collaboration with the US Embassy in Somalia. We also have Shape Your World, which is a project that we did with Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University in Japan, Beppu, Japan. We also regularly host a Global Goals Jam in collaboration with UNDP Somalia and Digital Society School in Netherlands. So yeah, so basically now we are upgrading the whole of the institute after 2.5 years of creating impact in the country. So we have some flagship services, including the SIMAD iLab, a very well-modernized incubation hub. And we also founded the first crowdfunding platform for Southern Somalia, so that, because like we have huge challenges with raising funds from the financial institutions, so that we decided to come up with crowdfunding to help the startups find funding from the public. And we also have now launching Startup Somalia, especially Startup Mogadishu, which will be a collaboration with the US Embassy. So in one dashboard of the 2.5 years impact that we have created, we have reached over 1,000 youth for training programs. And it's worth mentioning that our programs are quite long, minimum 2 months, maximum it can go like 9 months of training. We have also there is a policy at our innovation hub whereby we have a 50% to ensure that we have inclusion in our programs, so that we've reached 190 women in businesses. We've created 140 jobs for these 2.5 years. And we've incubated 29 startups. And one of the main activities that we do is to ensure that the small and micro businesses in the country are accelerated with our very well-designed programs. And with this, we've reached 159 of them. Yeah, that was just a little bit of an overview of who we are and what we do. For coming back to the topic for today, which is the circular economy and how you achieve scale and scalable impact. The issue of circular economy is new to the country, I would say, and it's not like that. We didn't have yet that noise where you can see in other countries. But the good thing is some of the education institutions like the hubs are spearheading these efforts. For example, I'm happy to share today with you that we don't specifically have programs for this, but we as part of our incubation programs, we do ensure that the young people do have the mindset required to go into the circular economy, so that they can use it as a tool to solve the social challenges that are like available and could be seen in the country. For example, now we have Dogdon. Dogdon is a Somali word, and it means in search of green. It's a youth established startup and from our programs. So what they basically do is they are like in Mogadishu, one of the biggest challenges we have is waste. You could see waste in everywhere in the city, which is a huge challenge for them, for all of the society that live in the capital city. So these youth, when they were attending university, they had this challenge of just walking across the garbage and the waste in the city. So they decided to come up with a solution by just doing something about it. So that's why they started the startup called Dogdon, which is a waste management and recycling company that works to reduce plastic waste from the capital city of Somalia. So what they do is they use waste plastic as a resource to manufacture eco-friendly plastic durable pavement interlocks. And as you can see from the picture, those are the interlocks that they have produced from the waste in the capital city. So with this, what do they want? What they want just to reduce the plastic in the capital. They also, not only this, but they also want to do a business from this, so that they can produce a quality pavement interlocks. And then with this, they want to create jobs for themselves and for the youth in the country. And they also at the end of the day to contribute to the national economy. So no one, like here, they are playing multi roles here. They are acting as social entrepreneurs, where they are taking the burden from the local government, but at the same time, they are generating income for themselves. And in national-wide capacity, they're also contributing to the job creation for the government. So how do they do this? It's a very simple process, but the impact is huge. What they do is they just collect and separate waste. They go to the garbage areas in the city, monetize people to bring the garbage, collect the garbage from those sites, and then bring in a center where they operate from. So they add chemicals to the garbage, and then they recycle. And once they do that, they produce the interlocks. So it's a very simple process, but the efforts required is huge, as you can see from the right picture, which is a lady that's just using the process. Initially, they used to do this manually, as you can see from the picture, and the side effects was huge. But then that's when we came into help in order to scale this startup. So what we did was we brought them to forums where they could pitch in front of large scale investors or government people, and they could have like funding opportunities. We also helped them participate in awareness campaigns, like giving them opportunities to showcase their startup stories in a televised national television or through social media. We also prepared stories about them and then used to spread through social media. So with these minor activities, we help them to get the visibility required to kind of get the traction needed to scale the impact. So that's where we are now. This is just one example of what might happen in a country like Somalia, where the circular economy is needed the most, I would say. And we have a quite number of startups that are going now into social entrepreneurship, especially the circular economy. So with this, I'm happy to be ready for the discussion for today, but that's what happened in Somalia and where we are for circular economy. So thank you very much, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mohamed, for your very inspiring presentation. Much appreciated. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Kelsie.
So next, I would like to warmly invite the next judge, Willemijn de Jong, who is coming from Commonland. She is a landscape facilitator at the regenerative forest program called Commonland.
Yes, hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening. So hello, everyone. My name is Willemijn de Jong. I work for Commonland, which is an Amsterdam-based but globally active impact organization. We work on large-scale landscape restoration, and I will tell you a little bit more about that. So here we go. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a landscape facilitator and focusing on knowledge and learning at Commonland. So I'm helping facilitate knowledge exchange between our different landscape partners around the world. And next to that, I'm also a project leader at the Fruitmotor, which is a local landscape initiative. So trying to also put it into practice in the landscape which I live in. So I'm an anthropologist by study, and I focused a lot in my career on social justice, around land rights issues, fishing rights issues, but also now moving more towards landscape restoration and facilitating system change within that or around that. And this is a little bit more about Commonland. So Commonland is a not-for-profit. We call ourselves a system developer. So we're focusing on large-scale landscape restoration projects around the world, together with local partners, trying to really bring solutions at scale, at a landscape scale, into effect on biodiversity, climate change, mitigation, adaptation, regenerative agriculture, but also revitalizing communities. And our goal is really realizing large-scale landscape restoration together with others. And we also want to make it like the new normal, nurturing and keeping ecosystems intact is something we want to make normal. And we also developed a 4 returns framework, which I'll go into a little bit into these slides. And we really focus a lot on partnerships. So aligning stakeholders around large-scale landscape restoration and establishing landscape partnerships. and also developing regenerative businesses and action on the ground to actually create scale. So you can see we're active in South Africa, Spain, the Netherlands, Australia, India, and increasingly also in Southern Africa, Haiti. So it's expanding with a large network of partners. Just to briefly, our vision and mission. So our vision is that we actually see a world where restoring ecosystems has become the new normal, the new norm, and we are reconnected to ourselves, each other, and our landscapes. So our mission connected to that is turning degraded and poorly managed landscapes into thriving ecosystems, local economies, and communities. And it's all built around the realization that large parts of the world are degraded, so soils are poor, being exploited, the food that we eat is becoming less nutritious, ecosystems are collapsing, water, rivers and lakes can run dry. So there's lots of degraded land and forests around the world, but there's actually also of that land 2 billion hectares of degraded land that actually can be restored. So that's an area larger than South America. So here you see a map of the World Resources Institute indicating the areas that actually have potential for restoration. So that's actually a very good message. Ecosystems can be restored. And it's such a hopeful message that we sometimes need in these times, that you can, with help, restore nature to its natural balance. And this is an example of the Loess Plateau in China, where in 20 years' time, a huge effort was done to restore a huge area the size of Belgium, together with local farmers and the government and the World Bank. So it was a very huge effort, and it's an inspirational example, I think, of the potential. So just a summary of the 4 returns framework. It's really about moving away from maximalization of return on investment per hectare, which is really dominant currently in the world, where it actually leads to ecosystem degradation. So you actually have 4 losses. So you have a loss of purpose and hope, you have a loss of employment and security, a loss of biodiversity, soil and water, and also a loss of economic activity. So you can see this in rural areas that are emptying, people moving to the city, land is becoming less productive, ecosystems are not providing the services that they can, but you can actually also turn that around. So you can actually create 4 returns. So you can create a sense of inspiration and belonging. You can revive social capital, networks, jobs. You can also, of course, revive natural capital, so reforestation, rehabilitation, regenerative agriculture, agroforestry, so natural regeneration. And then lastly, that will also lead to long-term sustainable financial income. So it's also about creating a sustainable economy into the future. And that results, I mean, this is the basic version of our framework that we work with together with our partners. So the 4 returns, as you see on top, as just explained. And it helps sometimes in our world where we either say it's either nature or it's productive land, to actually open up that space in our thinking and think about combined zones as well. So the combined zone can be agroforestry, more nature inclusive forms of agriculture. So actually sort of opening our headspace into that productive land does not have to go against nature. You can actually work with nature, making that a beautiful combined zone. And it's a good way of thinking and looking at the landscape together. And the most importantly, we work with a 20-year time frame. So it takes at least 1 generation to restore a landscape. So this is also the timeline that we're working with to break free from the 3 to 5 year project cycle. This is just a snapshot of some of the landscapes that we collaborate with and the partners that we work with. So here you can see the landscape partners. So it's often a landscape organization, a nature organization, or a network organization. And then below that, you can see some of the regenerative businesses that we work with. I will share a bit more on that as well later. And you see all of them are relatively large landscapes. So we're trying to think big, but starting small. This is the work that we're doing with Alvalade in Spain, and La Andresa, which is an almond company in the southeast of Spain, where we're collaborating with them to restore the landscape over a 20-year time frame. So it's 1 million hectares, which is huge, but you can actually start small by mobilizing farmers, connecting farmers around restoring soils, creating different ways of agriculture that are not deteriorating the soil even further, and really securing production into the future. Also with climate change effects already being seen in the region with desertification. So it's really creating a movement around how you can actually restore a community, revive a community, restore the landscape, and actually create a new culture around that. So there's also festivals that they organize and lots of workshops and gatherings. So it's a very inspirational example. Another example comes from South Africa, where we're working with Living Lands, Grounded, and the Baviaanskloof Development Company. There's actually a new company as well, the Landkloof Company, which I'll tell a little bit more about in a later slide. But the story here is that they're also transforming the landscape around sort of north of Cape Town in the Baviaanskloof, where historically goat farming has had a negative effect because it was too intense. So the vegetation was being overgrazed, and they're trying to find alternative models together with the goat farmers to find a better balanced approach. So you have more controlled grazing combined with maybe regenerative agriculture products like essential oils or oregano. In the past, they tried lavender, but oregano and rosemary are actually more better suited for the area, and working with local nature organization as well to restore the landscape, to rehabilitate the landscape, and restoring large tracts of land through restoration practices. So it's a beautiful example as well. I mean, it's tough because they've had the biggest drought in decades. So you're really swimming against the stream. Here's an example of a stock-listed foreign company in an Aboriginal-led movement in Australia. So it's the west of Australia. We started working with Wide Open Agriculture, which is a food and agriculture business. And now we're expanding the network to work with the Noongar Land Enterprise Group and an Aboriginal-led movement supported by the Centre for Social Impact of the Australian University of Western Australia. So it's becoming a really beautiful ecosystem of partners to restore the landscape, starting with the power of one business that is stock listed and working with the Four Turns vision. And lastly, we have a little bit closer to where our office is also situated in the Netherlands, which is also in the peat meadow landscape, more to the west of the Netherlands, where we see a lot of soil subsidence because of the lowering of the groundwater table. So we need to find future-proof forms of agriculture. So the local partners here are working with local dairy farmers trying to find alternative modes of operation that are fit for the landscape, but also can create beautiful products. So trying to find how can you have a farming system in a wetland system. So experimenting together with them and finding alternative ways forward. Regenerating the landscape together. So these are some of the regenerative products that you can see coming out of the landscape. I mentioned the essential oils from South Africa. They're also working with wild harvest and cultivated honeybush tea. From Spain, we're working with the local company on the almonds, the regenerative olive oil, walnuts, but also looking into wine and local lamb. And then in the Netherlands, we're working with Wilderland. They're making herbal tea from wild herbs and flowers planted on pieces of the land of the farmers that are not used for milk production. So they're actually using the areas of land that are available for that to support biodiversity. Working also with dairy farmers in Amsterdam who support meadow birds and biodiversity. And in Australia, it's about honey production, oats, oat milk, but also grass-fed beef from Western Australia. So it's a really diverse set of products. Just to showcase what you can do in terms of products that are regenerating a landscape. I've also put some time into which lens have I actually used to review the entries. So I looked at, is it a holistic concept? Is it touching on ecosystems and land use? Is it bottom up? But does it at the same time look at the regional economy potential? And I also like to move away from a value chain approach towards a wider impact that your value chain can have. And does it touch on an acupuncture point in the system? So that's what I used to look at that. Shall I also announce the initiatives that I picked? Just a question in between?
Certainly.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so just a snapshot of the 5 initiatives that really struck me. You have the food loop. I thought it was brilliant because it was a regional approach, but also closing the food waste loop. I thought that was super powerful. I had some suggestions, which you see in the slide with a little brain emoji in front of it. I looked at the Kurokawa Onsen Area Community Compost Project. Similarly, I like that it's a regional ambition. I like that it also taps into local and regenerative demand. I like that it builds on what is already there in terms of tourism. I also was very much impressed with the Hida Takayama initiative on utilizing forest resources. I like that it's intergenerational, working with different segments of the population. It's regional. It's also about rebalancing local production and consumption versus import-export. I also like that it's connected to local craftsmanship. Of course, the water storing seedling pot. I really enjoyed that it's actually really focusing on restoration hardcore. So, and its coastal regions need to be very much protected. So I thought this was super valuable and powerful. And it's a very easy to understand concept also for non-informed audiences. Lastly, I was also impressed by the Zero Emissions Project because material flows from construction are a huge challenge. Maybe the biggest challenge we'll have in the next 50 years. So I think it's super valuable, connected also to what Mohamed was sharing and what Singh was sharing. You can actually, make a very abstract concept, very concrete by recycling construction materials into concepts that people recognize. And what they all had in common was that they, for me, represented a mindset shift from ego to eco. What I also felt they had in common was really talking about system change. So how can you look at things from a local or regional economy perspective or an ecological perspective? I thought it was also powerful that they were closing fundamental loops, so not necessarily creating new waste streams or creating reverse incentives for new value chains for more unnecessary consumption. So are you creating a new product with new waste streams, or are you really closing an existing loop or optimizing an existing loop? And it's also regenerative. So moving away from do no harm to actually doing more good. So actively restoring resources. And that was it. And just a closing message, it was super hopeful for me to read all the entries, and I think they were all beautiful and giving me hope that we will be all right.
Wendell, thank you so much for your presentation, Willemijn. Actually, the point that you brought up at the very end was quite poignant for me. Coming from Mohamed's presentation, talking about how to inspire the youth and how to kind of build up this mindset for entrepreneurship as well as for circular economy at the same time. I think that these days it's become so unfortunately common that whenever we talk about climate issues or circularity issues, the focus sometimes comes to this like negative image of, oh, the world is ending, or, all of these different landscapes are changing irrevocably. But what I love so much about Commonland and about your presentation is that it kind of switches the lens of this to say, actually, there is hope. We can come back from this. Ecosystems can be renewed. And there is sustainable financial incentive to do this. So I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you very much. Great. So next is going to be a presentation from Professor Singh, architect and associate professor at Kasetsart University, design principal of OSISU. Thank you so much. Please feel free to begin your presentation.
Okay. I share my screen. When I was told to give an introduction of myself, how I got involved in the circularity or circular economy, I thought really hard how to introduce this whole thing in 15 minutes. So I start off with saying this. I am a trained architect and someone who has big passion for sustainability decades ago. And because of that, let's see, my slide doesn't move. But in these professions, as anyone might know and notice, that architecture and construction consume tremendous volume of resources. And at the same time, we also produce tons and tons and tons of waste from any job site, any construction site. You start seeing a lot of waste being hauled away daily basis. And I thought to myself, that doesn't really work. You know, if we keep on doing this, we will not be able to go anywhere because we're going to spend a lot of money on the resources that we do not use, and we dump them back into landfills, into abandoned lands in different communities. So basically, in 2006, I started my first startup called OSISU. You know, it's a company that work with waste, first from construction site, from communities, from manufacturing plants. You know, so basically, OSISU is a design house that a manufacturer of environmentally responsible products, fashion products, you know, that use a lot of industrial waste, a lot of community waste, as well as architectural construction debris. So I set that up after I returned to Thailand in 2006, you know, like a couple of years after I came back to Thailand. And we've started producing a lot of materials that we reclaim from different places, you know, from job sites, from suppliers that we spec materials, from communities, tons and tons. I thought, wow, there are a lot of waste. And in 2006, nobody cared about this thing in Thailand. People were still talking about, you know, economic growth. People were talking about energy efficiency, you know, using natural light. But very few start talking about using resources efficiently. So basically, when I had OSISU set up, I start reclaiming, you know, developing them. Since I'm at Kasetsart University, I have a lot of labs and facilities that may be able to support some of the exploration that I wanted to do. So I reclaim, develop, and design because I was trained as an architect. But most importantly, I market them, I sell them into the wider audience. These are some of the furniture that I made from wood scraps from construction site at the beginning. You know, you can see a lot of mosaics of wood, different kind of wood, you know, teak, oak, dangwood, maca wood, many valuable wood that people just thrown away after they got chopped off from big lumber and timber. So I reclaim them. These chairs are made of plywood. Actually, this plywood is special because it's quite water repellent. That's why the color is a bit darker. Steel pipes, you know. So I reclaim all these things and turn them into export products. You know, food packaging, glass from facade of buildings. Even threads, you know, from curtain manufacturers, I turn them into a light fixture, into lamps, and export them, use them in different boutique shops. I made materials, you know, before I could design anything. Sometimes I need to make the materials, and these are material made from button scrap from fashion industry. And then I realized that only me alone won't work. You know, me and my partner has been doing it for like almost 2 years, but we need to expand. We need more designers who are able to design from waste. So we set up Scrap Lab at Kasetsart University School of Architecture at the end of 2007. So been running OSISU for almost 2 years, and we set up Scrap Lab on campus and had a lot of undergraduates and graduate students, both local and international, came and joined us using the machines that, and equipments that can manipulate different materials, different scraps that we have available around us. And we work with all these students on a weekly basis. produce a lot of interesting solutions from waste and file many patents. But at the same time, all this knowledge allow us to work with the owner of the scrap themselves. So we work with manufacturers as well. And this is a fun thing because people who produce waste and they have the ability to handle their waste more than just student explorations. So we work with them to turn, for example, coffee waste, coffee ground into different hard stones, and we produce this in different colors that can be applicable to big chains, coffee chains around the world. We turn them into tiles, to mosaics, and then became materials that people can use in architectural constructions. Eggshells, we eat a lot of chickens, so we have a lot of eggshells. And we have in Thailand alone, we have about 40 million eggshells per day. So we turn them into this solid surface. 1 square meter, we use about 1,600 eggshells per 1 square meter. And they are really solid, really hard, because eggshells is polycarbonate, which is natural filler for any plastic anyway. So this is really solid materials that we can actually use and long lasting. And they can become many colors. If we use duck eggs, we have white solid surface. If we use chicken eggs, we have a more yellowish pink. And if we use quail egg, we have black and white materials. So it really depends on the sources of the waste that we have available. And not only that, we try to combine with vinyl flooring. So what you see, like the golden specks in the screen, is eggshells, not gold leaves. And we work with, now that we talk a lot of plastic in the ocean, so we reclaim plastic bottles from the Gulf of Thailand through the fishermen's boats, and then work with manufacturers in Thailand to handmade carpet. And these are the environment where we try to upcycle these new threads that we reclaim from plastic bottles and became this kind of all-around high-end carpet that made with 100% reclaimed plastic bottles. These are my teams, and we all work towards this kind of interesting upcycling activities along with other researchers. And now, after about 7-8 years, nearly 10 years, I have just set up in 2018 Research and Innovation for Sustainability Center in downtown Bangkok, in this tower that you see on the screen. We are not on the penthouse level, we are on the 4th floor, so it's a lot more affordable. So right in downtown Bangkok, so that people can actually use our knowledge at no cost. It's a public research center that we set up in downtown Bangkok. And we combine all these upcycled materials, green materials, well-being materials, so that people who are doing sustainable materials have this kind of circularity mindset, can actually commercialize their invention, their innovations. And I hope that this center that I have set up will help these younger generations to go further than what we have had. We didn't have these opportunities 10, 15 years ago. So I hope that this is a center that will give them a jolt to go further quicker. And so it's a big library of over 500 materials combined with other lab facilities that we have set up. And now that we know that property sectors use a lot of materials, since I'm an architect, so I always think about construction. So any inventions that came through our lab, we always think about how to make new city better. How can we make smarter city, more sensible city? And so we thought that material sink, the best material sink is a property sector, because we use a lot of materials. And we can use circularity in combination of this new city development. So first, we can keep trash away from landfill, but at the same time, we provide opportunities for new jobs and new businesses in circularity sector. So one of the projects that we use a lot of reclaimed materials, upcycled materials, is called the Forestiers in Bang Na, which is like on the edge of Bangkok here in Thailand. We integrate forests into these small cities per se, about 150 acres piece of land. And with this project, I realized immediately that I can actually push a lot of upcycle material. We can complete the circularity in the real world, because project like this will have to use and absorb a lot of materials. So for example, with ocean plastic waste campaign that we did a couple of years ago, we turned them into aggregates and replaced stone and rocks. And because we want to use a lot of this, so we thought roads can be a very prominent space that we can embed all this upcycled plastic into them. But it's not that easy when you make roads, because trucks are running into it, are running on it. So you have to have really strong surface. So we thought, maybe we can make road curbs, because nobody actually drive on it. So we did and developed this new formula to create these road curbs and use throughout the whole project, around the project, use plastic upcycle concrete road curbs. And they became just a normal features. Nothing, you won't notice that they come from reclaimed materials. And we make smaller blocks, we need ventilations in Thailand. So we did all these blocks that we want to use for the projects into these beautiful ventilation blocks from upcycled materials, walkways and stuff. With design, people won't notice this came from waste, and they are durable because you have to pass the standards, and asphalt roads, if you use concrete, so we try to mix with many things. So asphalt was one of the binders that we did explore with local companies. And we also use them in parts of the pathway and the road as well. With the carpet, we embedded these new innovations into different units, different condominiums, penthouse, and educate the unit's owner at the same time. And we won several awards for that. And they look beautiful. And this 100% from ocean waste, from plastic ocean waste, both backing and the top. So surprisingly, a couple of years ago, I started off as architects and migrate into products, designers. And I got an award as an artist, contemporary artist in Thailand, which is quite prestigious. So I thought to myself, oh, wow, nobody remember me as an architect anymore, even though my passion is the architecture. But most of the work has migrated me into become an artist. And now, from being an architect who passion for the sustainability, I am a designer who is committed to circularity. And that's quite a loop to go around. So I would like to end with that note that now I think is the future. If we are committed to circularity, the world needs all of us. And we need to move these directions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Singh, for your wonderful presentation. I deeply appreciate your time and the effort you put in for this. One point that particularly stood out to me was your emphasis on those upcycled roadblocks becoming normal. I think that this is an incredibly important point in terms of how to integrate these new innovation solutions in order to truly kind of disrupt. Actually, it should be a bit quiet. It can be something that maybe should have been there all along, but at the same time, makes a huge impact. Thank you so much.
I think that's quite important because I think people would, you have to take a guess. Sometimes people would like to be stand out, and sometimes they fear that if they stand out too much. With real estate sector, most people are quite conservative.
Right. Thank you so much.
I think it's the best way to do it.
Great. Thank you so much for your presentation, Professor Singh. Thank you everyone very much for joining us for the first section of our panel for today. We are going to be taking a short break. If you're interested, if you have any questions, if you have some feedback for us, if you'd just like to reach out and say hello, please feel free to scan the QR code and take a survey to give us some feedback. We'll see you all in just a moment. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second half of our panel today entitled Creating a Scalable Impact with the Circular Economy. My name is Kelsie Stewart from FabCafe in Tokyo, Japan. So in the second section of our session today, we're going to be hearing from several of the winners of the Circular Awards. Following these three pitches, we will be going into an open feedback session with the judges, and we will wrap up with a crosstalk moderated by FabCafe Bangkok co-founder Kalaya Kovidvisith. So the first winner that I would like to call to the table is Hidetoshi Sawa, who is an architect in Hida Takayama. The award-winning work that has been chosen for the Circular Awards of his is entitled Practicing a Circular Economy Model by Utilizing Forest Resources in Hida Takayama.
Hi guys. So I introduced about our activity practicing circular economy model by utilizing forest resource in Hida Takayama. So I am architect. My name is Hidetoshi Sawa, based in this location. So this is from my office. And then so this is our working space that so we are thinning wood. And then so about the background, Takayama City is middle Japan, and then a city area is largest in Japan. But so 92% is forest area, and then just population is just 86,000. But so just for kerosene for stove for winter, 24 billion. Japanese yen per year. It's 21 million US dollar 1 year. But so we have a lot of forest. So why not we are using this such forest resource? That's why so we are doing such activity. This is a working image. So what we are doing is regular logistic system of thinning wood. So this is a track goes 13 points of in the city every week, and then so collecting wood. Then so we have this is diagram of our work, and so our track, the logistic is going to deliver the collecting the woods and then deliver for a company for the wood material. For example, wood chip for biomass, the generating electric or some furniture, many. So and we got the money for that. Then so we are making the local currency. So I will show you this local currency from the local forest. This is called Enepo. This is already valued 500 yen, Japanese yen. And then so we can use in this city, only in Takayama City. Now 75 shops are registered. And then yes. And then so local bank can change this local currency. And then so the second point is utilizing thinning wood from roots until leaves. Yes, this is from root until leaves. So leaves can going to be the aroma oil, and then some X for cedar leaves, and then branches, and the small wood part will be coal, and then fossil and fuel, wooden fuel, and wood chip. And then so the thick wood part we are making the architectural material like this. The leaves is like that, and then so going to aroma and the furniture, and then for agriculture, extract. Then so we got a good design award, and this year, and then so this is newspaper, and then making architecture material to increase added value. So of course, furniture or building materials are higher price than wood chip or fuel. Yes, and then so we are making such a small supply chain, for in 5 kilometers. This is backside of our office, cutting the big pine tree, and then the other farmers, collecting such wood, and then so gathering here in front of my office, and then going to a mill factory, and then making the architectural material like that, and then so came back to our field, and then making the making dry, the natural drying. Yes, and then going to the craft factory to make that. Yes. Sorry, so it's 5 minutes. So this is just for introduction of my work. I'm using for facade and then wooden terrace, and then so a 2 meter wood log is over 450 logs for this house, and then so making the flooring and the terrace. And then this is a oak wood for wood terrace. And then this a project, so I'm making using a lot of wood for as like experimental, like this. Yes. And then so trying to make more bigger scale architecture, and also making the marketplace for local people. For example, so normal individual carpenters can come to buy our local wood. Yeah, such small circulation makes more expand, and then so sharing such a beautiful occasion for this award. Then so we are going to the whole earth. Thank you very much.
Very beautiful presentation. Yeah, I think it's quite tough to kind of compact all of this information into 5 minutes, but thank you very much for your presentation. So next, I would like to warmly invite the next speaker, Carlos Rodriguez Robena, who is a researcher for the Island App Advanced Project. The name of his winning work is called the Aquaponics and Circular Economy on Islands, Island App Advanced Project. Thank you so much for joining us.
First of all, I want to say thank you to all the organizers and all the judges for this great opportunity and for choosing us as an award for this award. I'm Carlos Rodriguez, and as Kelsie said, I'm a researcher at the Island App Advanced Project. This project is financed with European MAC and Interreg funds, and universities and research centers from 3 different archipelagos of the more regions participate: the Canary Islands, Madeira, and Cape Verde. The main objectives of the project are to potentiate the research, development, and innovation to promote sustainable aquaponic production in our regions and the circular economy around organic matters. And second, to create a circular economy international network to promote the sustainable production, bioresources valorization, the biotechnology, the circular economy, and the education in all these areas. As you can see in the image, we have chosen aquaponics as an example to create synergies between different research groups to promote the circular economy in organic materials, improving water utilization while reducing waste, innovation in close integrated system with different plants and animals at trophic levels, both marine and freshwater systems, more sustainable aqua feed by using alternative local byproduct-based ingredients. Competitive improvement in the aquaponic production, plant characteristics and quality in both marine and freshwater plants, and microalgae production. We use soft energies and smart controls in the aquaponic systems. And we have also done transfers of knowledge, already tested with good results at pilot scale in collaboration with a university spin-off. And we are also working with several other companies who are interested in the circular economy. Synergies with other important economic sectors, such as the tourism. The tourism industry is an important economic sector for the island's economy, accounting for more than 35% of the GDP and 40% of the employment in the Canary Islands. And however, it generates a high amount of waste and consumes high levels of resources. That's why we think it's important to change to a circular economy in this sector. And that's why we are researching and doing some works with hotels and also with tourist companies. These are some of the circular economy actions we have done so far, like the creation of the Circular Economy Network, a specialization workshop, outreach activities, promotion and dissemination, national and international conference, the creation of Island App Junior with students, also collaboration in remote rural areas, especially in Cape Verde, and pilot experiences to implement the circular economy in tourist areas, using, for example, coffee grounds as a fair example to be developed. Finally, I want to highlight that we have created a regional and interregional network to promote the island circular economy, where every company or individual who have some circular problem to be solved can join and will receive some feedback from experts, from researchers at the universities, and also from the public administration. And that's all. Thank you for your attention. I hope I am in time.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation. I look forward to hearing more about it during the feedback and the crosstalk section. Thank you. So the third winner who will be giving a short pitch today is Sergio Fernandez, who is the CEO of Soji. The title of his award-winning work is Soji Reused Used Oil, Create Your Own Ecological Detergent in Just 1 Minute. Sergio, are you here with us? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Kelsie. Thank everyone for the opportunity to be here. So we are Soji team. Soji means cleaning in Japanese language. We are only 2 of us in our team. We externalize all of our services. Catalina Trujillo is the CMO or co-founder of the company, and I am Sergio Fernandez, CEO of the project. And we focus our research, our investigation in the problem of the used cooking oils. As we know, the used cooking oil generate a big environmental problem in different causes. You can see here a lot of amazing information, like, for example, 1 liter of vegetable oil can contaminate 1 million liters of water. The 40% of the pollution of rivers and seas is caused by this waste. No, so the only solution that nowadays exists to make is to make biodiesel with the used cooking oil. But the biodiesel generates big environmental problems and costs, and it requires economic costs too. No, so what we do? We thought about this problem, and we knew about that the 19% of the soaps of the world has made by vegetable and animal fats. Here in Spain, our grandmas made an ecological soap with caustic soda during a long amount of years. what we did and what we invent is to sophisticate this process. What we create, if you can see our screen, is this bottle of soy. Sorry, I will show you then. It's a liquid based on mineral and vegetable compounds without caustic soda, and you don't have risk to manipulate and to the environment. The only thing that we have to do is to mix the used cooking oil with our formula to shake the formula 1 minute, and you will have an ecological soap with 96% less polluting than a common detergent. We will try to make you a demonstration in direct. Catalina Trujillo is here with me.
Hi.
We have.
Sorry.
We cannot see very well, but.
This is the oil.
Maybe I can change the font. Now it's better. Yeah.
We put into the bottle oil with the oil products and stay 1 minute.
And it's all. After 1 minute, you will have, we don't have 1 minute today, but you have to stay 1 minute, and you will have a soap for multiple uses. You can use it as a detergent, you can use it for clean your dishes, and you can use it for clean your floor if you want. We apply, you can see in this slide, with almost all the arts of the circular economy, because we recycle one kind of waste, that is the used cooking oil. We reuse it, transforming it into a common detergent, and we reduce the environmental impact of this one, no? Yeah. We have been focusing in different sectors. We have been selling this format since 2 years almost in the domestic sector with this kind of solution. We sell this kind of solution for the homes, for the people to make their own soaps in their homes. And we have investigation for the HoReCa sector, is the hotel, restaurant, and coffee sector, and for the industrial sector too. For the HoReCa sector, what we did is this kind of machine. It's like an espresso machine, and the final customer only have to put inside the machine the used cooking oil, to push a button, and the machine do the rest. No, it's an automatic process, and with an improvement formula, and it's a more cheaper formula with a more ecological and environmental formula. For the industrial sector, we are dimensioning our formula for big scale to almost can produce 1 ton of final soap and recycle 400 liters of used cooking oil in only one process and in less than 10 minutes. We have ended this research and this investigation, and we will have the results on February of 1922. We have won different prizes, like 2 excellent certificates of the European Union. We have won the environmental award of the European Union this year, and amount of about 7 or 8 prizes more. What we are thinking about today? We are working now. We are working to adapting the formula to new markets, because the used cooking oil are different in each country. So we have to adapt the formula for another vegetable oils. We are refining and expanding the uses, and we are working in different aromas to scalable the products, and to present new formats, more economic formats. We are upgrading the machine too, and we are making the machine, regenerating the machine 2.0 to end the process. And this is all. I hope you will enjoy it, and thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for your really great presentation. It was very nice to be able to see the action of actually taking the oil itself and turning it into the detergent. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. So now I would like to welcome back the other prize winners and circular award judges. I would now like to shift to the open feedback panel. So thank you all so much for the really beautiful presentations. I'd like to now go into the 20-minute feedback panel. So it's, I know there's a lot of folks in the room, but I'd like to first ask Willemijn, so what do you think about these three amazing projects? Do you have any considerations for example, how these can fit into the framework of 4 returns, for instance? Or open feedback is also fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really humbled by all the ingenuity and ideas that people have, and it gives me a lot of hope for humanity. So thank you for that. And thank you for putting all this energy into this product and really, or your project or initiative, and pushing through, because I can imagine it's something new and it's challenging. So it might also be, intense sometimes. So it's great that you're doing this. And I mean, if you look at it from a 4 returns perspective, I think they all have elements of that. And what I see often is that when you have a product or a business or a concept, I think the key is always to think about, what if this would scale? What could the potential unintended effects be? So let's say for example, the thinning of the forest, or the soap product, or the aquaponics idea. What if it scales? What will the positive and potentially negative effects be on the environment? So which waste streams or which streams am I creating with this new product or with this new initiative? So they can be both positive in terms of creating a sense of community, creating a sense of inspiration, creating income, but also on the other side, am I creating what will this do in the long run, 10 years, 20 years, if this will really be successful? I think that's a good question to constantly ask yourself, how is my value chain, or how is my initiative affecting the environment? And of course, some things you can't prevent, but it's a good sort of holistic view to keep in mind. And I think that's something that is relevant for any initiative, really. Who are my partners? Who are my companions? How can I work with them? Because maybe as a business or as an initiative, you can't do everything alone, especially when you're thinking in a system. It's really nice to partner up and to see, how is my value chain contributing to yours, or how can yours contribute to mine? I think that's key for circular economy, and I think you're already doing that. That's sort of something that resonates with me, or questions that pop up. For example, I love the soji product, and I would be interested in, so what are you mixing the oil with? Is that something, is it a sustainable mix? I can imagine you don't want to share exactly what it's made of because it's maybe confidential, but what if that scales? Is that a sustainable mix to mix the vegetable oil with? Something to think about, for example.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am glad to hear that you love our product. For your question, I have to answer that it's a very sustainable formula. We have developed the formula during 3 years with a famous university here in Spain, with the Ramon Llull YQS University. And firstly, we had one formula that was not sustainable like the actual that we have. And the 2 years, the 2 final years, we developing the formula to make it sustainable. So we are cruelty-free. We don't test in animal in any process, and all of our compounds are from vegetable and mineral origin.
Fantastic. And that's, I mean, that journey is also okay, that your first prototype is sustainable, but not maybe 100% sustainable. That's okay. And it's okay to go on that journey to become 50%, 70%, 100% regenerative or sustainable. And that journey is, I think, important, because if we want to get it right immediately, it's going to be really tough, especially if you're living in an old system economy and you need to make your own market. It's okay to go on that journey as long as you are open and honest and transparent to yourself and your consumers, then that's okay. Yeah, so super nice.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Willemijn. I'd like to ask now the other judge, Mohamed, do you have any comments or feedback about the presentations and works being presented today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelsie. And yeah, congratulations to the team. Those were very inspiring presentations. I would say, like, I do echo with Iongh of everything she said. And especially the point that we are being responsible of taking care of the environment. At the same time, we need to think of the products that we're creating and the impact that we are having in the long term. Are we doing another negative? Like, we are solving a challenge, but are we creating another challenge? That's a point that I will share with Iongh. An issue that we've seen practically in our country is that people are always very positive of such projects. But then if you approach them for funding or to achieve scalability in your project, they don't actually get into your project. So, and it's very understandable. The people love of such projects, but they don't invest in such projects. So just wanted to hear of you guys. I know the Suji guys, your business model is understandable. You have material to sell, but for the other projects like Sawas and Carlos, how do you envision yourself to be in this business for a long time? What is the sustainability? How are you making money out of this?
Perhaps first we can direct the question to Carlos, and then we can direct the question to Toshi. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Well, first, we don't make any money from it because it's an European project. So we receive the money from the European Union and research in this area. And we are working, for example, with local producers to use the organic waste to find another solution for to not go into the land. And also we are working with the hotels to find new ideas that they can implement in their establishments for a circular economy. As you know, the hotels have a great amount of waste that they produce, especially here on the islands where we can't manage all this waste because we are small and we receive almost 14 million tourists every year. So it's difficult, and we are trying with new ideas to work with more local companies and local producers so we can find more circular economy solutions for the problems they have.
Yeah, perfect, Carlos. Before we move to Toshi-san, the reason why I was asking the model is that, like, basically when we teach about startups, we have such a model called BMC, right? The business model compass, where there is a requirement that to sustain in a business, you need to make money. You might depend on other source of funds initially to get your business off the ground, but then you cannot depend on other hands forever. So now I like that you said you're trying to evolve your business model and get into other ideas so that you find ways to make money for yourself. And I think this should be like a priority for your business, because this is a very good business. Now you have something that works, but then you need to work on the more financial aspects of the projects so that you don't get tired or you don't stop the project and just jump into another thing. Yeah, but thank you for the clarifications.
Yeah, thanks.
Please. Thank you so much. Hidetoshi, would you like to reply?
Yes, I'm thinking about, economy is a smaller or big economy, so everyone is always working and then getting, making comfortable for our living around, Then, what is important thing is, selection, and then how to make the system about where we get material, the resource, and where we pass that. Then also economy should be can be a very local one, so very small region. Such a small circulation can be very effective, and then also effective for pimp up the local economy. So not looking for always globalism. We are sharing such beautiful occasion, globalism. That I think this is a globalism. So this is very nice opportunity as we developed as globalism. But so material should be close always, around our living.
Yeah, I can totally empathize with the point that you're making now. If anything, the global pandemic has showed us, the potential breakdown that can happen in supply chains around the world whenever something related to nature is disrupted. So I can totally get down with that point that you're making there. I believe Professor Singh is also in the room with us now. And actually, I believe that one of your winning projects, Soji, is also here, as well as the project being done with Carlos. Would you have any feedback related to these two projects? Professor Singh, are you here with us? Maybe he's having some difficulty connecting with video and sound. Okay, so I think he may be having some technical difficulties, so we'll continue. From the side of the winners, from Carlos and from everybody, Hidetoshi, everybody, do you have any questions or any kind of points that you would like to raise with the judges themselves about, maybe some challenges that you're trying to tackle or some perspective that you're looking to hear from? First, I'll start with Carlos. Do you have any questions or points that you would like to discuss with the judges or your fellow winners?
I would like to know if any of the judges in their countries, they have like a similar project that we have, like working with aquaponics and organic materials and with the tourism. Do you have any project or company working with that?
Yes, I sent you I can also send it in the chat. There's one agency, they're called Regenerative Resources. They have a lot of experience on creating coastal productive systems, including aquaponics, including seawater agriculture, dryland agroforestry, mangrove wetlands. So they're really thinking about this holistic model for coastal regions, including aquaculture, aquaponics. So they're really thinking about sort of how aquaponics can fit into a system and creating income for local communities, creating value chains, beautiful products. So I think I would love to get you in touch with Neil Speckman. He's the founder, and they have a great thinking about this, which I think it would be a valuable exchange. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Maybe Sergio from Soji, would you have any questions or some perspectives that you would like to hear from the other winners and judges?
Yes, thank you very much, Kelsie. We have one question. Now we are with the prototype of the machine we saw you on the slide, but we need a partner, a financial partner, to industrialize this machine and to put the minimum order, the minimum quantity of this machine on the market. We're looking for a partner, a travel partner, no a capitalist partner at all. But we want to know about the experience of the judges, what they think about the strategy we have to take care or to get in the future for for put the minimum order of machines on the market.
Can you repeat? So the question is, how can we best market the product? Is that your question?
Yes, Willem. We have the prototype of the machine, but we have to put an amount of money that we don't have it. No, we have like a boyfriend, a big company, a multinational company here in Spain that is asking for the exclusivity of the machine. But we are thinking in go with this partner, no, or go to a financial round to get this money back. We don't know how to do. We are thinking about a lot, and we will appreciate your comments and your feedback for what will you do.
What I've seen in the businesses that we support is that in business development, it's either like you have a business idea, you develop the business, and then you grow the business, right? But actually between developing the business and growing the business, there's a whole period of actually making the business work with a lot of research and development, which you've been doing with universities. And I think this crunch period where it takes a lot of time and energy to build the product, to test the product, to test the market, to create the branding, it's really important to take a bit of time for that. Because if you grow too quick or to scale too soon, you run the risk of having the adventure end too soon. So I think it's important to feel like you're growing and scaling at the right moment, or you feel like you know enough. So I don't know where you are in that journey, but that's something which we've really seen. And then building on what is already there in terms of factories, infrastructure, I think you're doing it really smartly. You're using the facilities of an existing partner who has a factory, if I understand correctly. That I think is a very smart approach because you don't have a lot of upfront costs. You can use infrastructure that's already there. And there's a Dutch company called Soap in Dutch, and they work with waste from kind of like a waste of a tree fruit in Nepal. So they work with Nepalese partners, and I've shared the link here. And they've probably went through the same journey of getting that more sustainable soap on the market. So it could be interesting to connect with them and see how their journey went and how they did the financing. And
thank you very much
to add to
for the contact.
To add to that, yes, Sergey. And just to add to the points made by Iongh, normally when we teach startups to go into the market once they have an MVP, is that we make sure that the MVP is ready for the market. And we say this because now you're using two manuals to like make your product work. But can you automate the whole process and make your product ready for the market? And we know that the young entrepreneurs always want to go to the market, but it's always good to work on your MVP and make it perfect and ready for the market. And you can go to the market as of now, but the value you get from the market as of now compared to the value you would get once you have a ready product would be totally different. So as it's been said by Iongh, it's always good to grow organically initially, and then and also get yourself into the product, invest in yourself, and then finally when you have like that strong product, then you can take it to the market and get high value at the end.
Thank you, Mohamed. Thank you both of you for all the points of view. We will thinking about it, and it's a good help for us. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your question, Sergio. So I'd like to give one more chance at the end to wrap up this feedback session. Hidetoshi, do you have any questions or comments that you would like to make to the judges during this part?
Yes. Yeah, for example, so I have very interested to make some system. System is how to say that automatically, if we set up the good circulation, then, so anybody can join, or, any specific people doesn't need for that, Such a system is very valuable and useful always. Then, so, yeah, I'm trying also set up such a, how to say that, a circulation system, and then also not only our team, so it can be also very civic people, whole city or other region, so I want to share this such system always, Then, the question is, how do you think about it, and how we can develop of each good project, so we have many good seeds for that,
Yeah, I think you bring up the excellent point about accessibility and how to create impact through making it easy for people to access your idea, replicate your idea, and spread your idea to other people. This might also be quite a challenge, I would imagine, if your project is hyper-localized. It's quite difficult to say if a solution that works in Hida. So I'm not sure if people in the audience are familiar with Hida, but it's a quite countryside area, very beautiful, very vast forests are happening here, very deep history for cultural and traditional crafts. And so, the solutions that are working in Hida Takayama is something that may or may not work for other regions, or perhaps even those solution ideas would work exceedingly well in other regions. So I think that this is a context that perhaps we can keep in mind. I would like to go ahead actually and go to the next section, and we can bring this question along with us. The next session is going to be a kind of crosstalk involving Kalaya Kovidvisith, the co-founder of FabCafe Bangkok. She has provided some questions as well to ask to all the panelists, specifically on today's topic about creating scalable impact. Kalaya, are you here with us today?
Hello, Kelsie. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Yes.
Great. So keeping Hidetoshi's question in mind about this kind of accessibility point, maybe you can continue with your questioning from here.
Okay. So we can start our session, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Kalaya from FabCafe Bangkok. On behalf of Circular team, I would like to thank you, our judge and Circular Award winner, for joining us today to discuss about how we can survive and scale up our Circular initiative. So I would like to start from our judge first. So Willemijn, I'm a big fan of Commonland and really looking forward to see your project in Thailand. Commonland goal is very clear and simple, but I believe that it must be very complex to execute since you have to deal with many stakeholders in different scale and culture. So my question is how would you align your stakeholder to work with you, and how you can implement the Commonland process and evaluate your intervention?
Thank you, Kalaya, and it's the $1 million question, I think.
Yes.
Because in terms of technology, in terms of restoration methods, in terms of aquaponics techniques, or in forestry techniques, the knowledge is there. We have a lot of knowledge in the world. We have a lot of data in the world. Luckily, we have a lot of research in the world. But where it often goes wrong is where people don't understand each other, speak a different language. So somebody, for example, living in Hida Takayama might not know the language for how you work with trees, but then understanding each other's world is where Commonland tries to step in. So it's about facilitating a different type of conversation. We work also a lot with the Theory U methodology, which is basically a multi-stakeholder partnership methodology, how you facilitate new kinds of dialogue between people that are coming from different backgrounds. So it's respecting each other, listening carefully, leaving your own opinion at the door, and trying to really be open to what the system is trying to tell you. So anybody can be a leader. A farmer can be a leader. A citizen can be a leader. A CEO of a business can be a leader. But we all need to tap into our own leadership skills to be able to deal with the world's complexity. So that is where we're using the Theory U methodology to create that more system awareness. And it sounds a bit vague, but in practice, it's really about being aware of what's all the information that's coming at you. And it's not only by making a beautiful business plan or a project plan that you will succeed. It's also about being aware in the moment what your leadership is asking of you. I can imagine, Kalaya, you are also doing complex work. So sometimes you can't plan for everything. So it's about, building your own leadership skills to be able to deal with complexity, which is a fact of life. So that's how we approach it. I don't know if that helps, but.
That is very helpful, Har. Thank you so much, Ka. Okay, may I ask more questions? So, like some countries, like Thailand, we don't have many data, not many researchers working collect data regarding our environment. So, can you still working with us?
Yes, definitely. So we are working with partners in the Philippines and in other parts of Asia. So we are definitely looking for partnerships. And if you look at regional approaches, and it answers a little bit to what Hidetoshi is saying, it's also about nurturing networks. I think that's also what the FabCafe is doing, right? So you're connecting people and you're facilitating a space for them to connect. And so I would love to work with Thailand partners and see if we can add you to the network and see how it goes, of course.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so next to the Mohamed, I really love the idea of circular startup to accelerate the sustainability. How would you groom the generations and support them to grow and expand? Yes. So this is my questions for you.
Thank you very much, Kalaya. So basically, like I said in my presentation, we're working in an environment where the idea of circular economy is almost non-existent. It's only the educated people that are now getting awake to the concept. So what's happening is that some innovation hubs like ours are using it as a way to lure people to get into the businesses. So for example, we don't normally frame it as a circular economy, but we say if you want to become a social entrepreneur, these are the social challenges we have locally. And you just take yourself into those challenges and which one do you personally want to get yourself into. And that's how we have more young people into the circular economy. So for example, like I said in the presentation, we have those young graduates from university and they have this challenge of whenever it rains in the city, you can't move around because of the waste you have. And the government has other priorities now, not to deal with waste. So it's the youth who decided to take things into their hands and come up with solutions, and that's why we have the startup that I presented in my presentation. So now, once we have that startup, now another question comes up, which is like I said, people are very positive of the idea of waste management, but then they don't want to invest into the idea. So now the issue of scaling up the startup came into the force. So we then have to come up with other strategies in order to scale up. So before we scale up, then we have to measure their impact. What is the impact that they are already creating for the environment? And we have to prepare stories of those impact and then release it to the social media and the televisions so that people show empathy to the work. And then we have created crowdfunding pages for them. And by using those videos and stories, once people do have those empathies, and then we release the crowdfunding pages so we can generate funds from the public and then give to the startups. So basically, the way that we scale our startups is we have a small platform whereby we bring young entrepreneurs every quarter. And then we also bring the banks and the government So we have a kind of learning from each other session, and like getting the public to know what is the young people are working on. We also have tools. For example, we not always like gather the useful tools for people into this area, and we put them as part of the package that we give to the young entrepreneurs so that they get access to the information and the tools. And finally, we also do, like I said, awareness and storytelling, stories, videos, and articles, so that people get to know about the issues that exist. And along the way, all of this, we are creating platforms like the crowdfunding page that I just mentioned. Is a local crowdfunding page. It accepts the local technologies like the mobile payment, so that people don't even have to have bank accounts in order to donate to these accounts. They just have to open their mobile accounts and then donate straight to the campaigns, and the money goes straight to the young entrepreneurs. So yeah, those are a little bit of things that are going up in the ground. But yeah, we still do believe there's a long way to go in Somalia, especially for the circular economy.
Yeah, I think we need to learn more from you, like every one of us. Yes, thank you so much for sharing. Any advice for like circular entrepreneur that would like to step in to save our world?
Yeah. So like we say always, don't see circular economy as the circular economy. Just look for something that you're passionate about. Like look for the social challenges that you have in your context and just decide one to take on. And there you have it, the circular economy project. So don't take it as an assignment. Just make it personal and look for social local challenges and then stick to one. And there you are contributing to the global challenges.
Thank you so much, Mohamed. So next question. อาจารย์สิงห์คะพี่สิงห์อยู่ไหมคะ First, I would like to ask him because I know him for such a long time, and I know that he has his passion in this area since at MIT, so it's like 20 years. Yeah, and then like he works so many projects that like from Scap Lab in universities to OSISU, right? And now you are with Litzy. And then the big project, which I really love it, is Forest here in Thailand. So I would like to ask, like, what is his next move? And then what is how he can plan the project to make it success? Because I think it is a successful, every one of them, yes.
I think people, I understand the difficulty and challenges that all of you are facing. And I think I hear you, Sochi team, that, you know, things can be difficult with circularity and expanding the businesses. But I think circularity, I have learned that circularity is all about collaborations. So my next move would be connecting the dots. I think I've tried with the forest years, the big projects. So I try to connect the dots. Whoever I can think of that can be integrated into this platform, you know, of, for example, Forest here, I see it as a platform to bring in all this knowledge, this invention, these innovations, and hopefully jumpstart that project. So that's my hope. I try very hard to create this platform. So I think the next thing that you will see in Thailand would be circular hub. That would bring, and I hope after joining this event, I hope circular will be the hub, because after I look through these hundreds of projects, I feel I want to connect the dots. I don't want to let you guys go at all, because I want to connect this project with that project and this project with that. And I think that's the way we need to do it. Otherwise, there's no circularity. It's just closed loop production. So I hope we can take that multiple level of network to put things together. So you see, that's my next one. But I have the list. So Kelsie, please stay in touch with all the judges and the participants, because I think you have an amazing repository with all these projects. And if you can connect these dots anywhere in the world, we should try. Not just Japan, not just Thailand, not just Somalia or Japan, but I think we have to work on this after this event is over.
Channel to keep us in touch. We've created the Slack for all circular members, for winners and judges. And I hope that this is a place where we can continue having discussion just to even show interesting news or interesting projects or, something that's happening in your local area. Or for example, if I see something happening in Canary Islands that I think might be interesting, of course, I'm going to reach out to Carlos first.
And we need something like this in Southeast Asia, right, Kalaya?
Yes.
I think what Carlos is doing, I think we do need that a lot. And I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of hydroponic and aquaponics, but not to the scale that you are doing. I was impressed with the scales. The technology-wise, I understand it quickly. But my God, the way you connect them, the fish size, and they are real. They are real. They are like industrial scale. It's
Yes, thank you.
Impressive.
Maybe I will move to another question to our Circular Award winners. Congratulations again to Hideyoshi, Carlos, and Sergio. Okay, so my question will be asking to all of you about what is the key challenge to your project, because I believe that many of you are in the starting point and now in the process of growing your business, right? So right now, what is the key challenge? What is the most difficult part of your project, of your initiative right now?
Yeah, so the answer for the question is I'm thinking always to looking for not only the small detail, so seeing the whole view of the grand plan from the top of the forest until our lives. Not only from the to say about the forest industries, many people is related for each and then doing the each business. Not only the each part, so someone. I'm believing, so architect or designer can be very possible person for that, but so a whole. Seeing whole view from the top of forest, in the mountain until the the output product or lifestyle or scene life scene. Such a design or designer can do that. I think, yeah, this is a very important to. I'm always thinking that.
Yes, I can see that because your project is very huge to me, because you also make turn tree into currency and also create a marketplace and also making a product out of it. So basically you try to integrate forest back into our daily life, like in the past that we depend on the forest, right? Yeah, but right now we kind of step away and then use them just as a simple material, but instead you would like to show them that how forest is important to us, which I think is very great initiative for that. But I think it's is it very complex to start everything at the same time, the currency things, the market things, because I'm not sure how many people in your team, and then you have to work with many people for that.
Yes. So, for example, our activity is kind of platform. People can reach everywhere. So every time. So I am the my architect's office is also working as a NPO office. That's why. So everyone can come anytime. And then so if some people have interested for something the economical or ecological thing on the natural resource, or I love mountain or forest, so just come here, and then so sharing information, or so just ask them, or promote them to join our thinning wood activities. I'm working as such the platform manager. I cannot do everything. I'm trusting many people, and then many professional people so around me.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That looked very interesting. Huh? Okay. So, Carlos, what is the most challenging part for aquaponics project that you do?
Yeah, I think our key challenge are to work and collaborate with more local small companies so we can solve their sustainability problems and help them to be more sustainable or circular economy initiative. Also to reach the more students and teach them how important it is to change to a circular economy model, especially in our islands where we have some problems about waste and water resources and the energy efficiency. So that's, I think, is our key challenge, like to work with more local companies and to reach more students so they can behave in a more circular way to help our small territories to be more sustainable.
So it seems like the most challenging part is try to talk to everyone to work together. Yes.
Exactly. That's
techniques?
sometimes a bit difficult. Yeah.
Do you have any techniques how you have to talk to small children till like business owner?
Yeah, we always start with the small ones, with the small companies, the local producers, the local companies, and then we are going to try to reach the big ones, because sometimes the big ones are the more difficult ones to change their behavior. So that's our point, to start from the local ones to the small ones and then reach the big ones.
Yeah, in Thailand, normally we start from children because children will kind of like draw in adult. Yeah. Okay, so next one is Sergio. Can you tell us about the challenging part for Soji?
Hi, Kalaya. Thank you very much for the question. For us, our main key challenge is we are now on the market selling this kind of format. So here in Spain, the environmental awareness and environmental education is growing slowly. And we are a little company, so we have elevated prices. So we are focused now, working too hard on reducing our cost, or reducing our operational cost and on the cost of the logistic cost, the marketing cost, and all the cost of the company. Get a better price, a cheaper price, to get more easy for the sales. We are working hard on that, but it's difficult because the big suppliers don't want to talk with us with a minimum order of 30,000 miles, of bottle or something like that. But we are focused now. We are focused.
Do you plan to sell it outside, like in Asian countries?
Yeah, we hope to. We now are opening the market to the UK market and the Germany market, because we are lucky to win one prize of the Chamber of Commerce of Germany. So we are now trying to penetrate on those markets, and we have the Asian market on our mind. As you can see, our name is Asiatic and it's Japanese. We call Soji, and we want to go there. We hope we can do it soon.
Wow, best of wishes for your project.
Thank you.
Kelsie, am I still have time to ask one more question?
Yes, we have about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, so actually I would like to ask, like, what is the next move for everyone? Yeah. So I will ask Kelsie to pick whom to answer this question.
So I'd love to ask this question to the winners in particular. Yes, so what is your thinking for the next big step for the future? Maybe we can start with Carlos. What do you see as being your next kind of benchmark moment with your project?
Sorry, but I didn't understand the question. very much. If you
sorry.
can repeat.
One more time. So basically my question is, what is the next kind of benchmark moment or the next kind of like large action that you look forward to the most with your project?
Well, this is our second phase of the project. We already had like 3 years before, and the European Commission, European Union gave us a second phase. So for us is to continue working like we do with different research areas, working all together like in a multidisciplinary way to continue and make circular economy more famous here and more people involved, more companies, more students, and more researchers if possible.
Nice. Thank you so much for your answer. It kind of harkens back to what I think Mohamed was mentioning earlier about this, how would you say, like not just consciousness gap, but information or knowledge gap about this term of circular economy. I find that there's a little bit of a parallel between this term circular economy and also the term sustainable development goals. I think in the beginning, these two words are kind of looked at as something that perhaps governments or large companies or other multifaceted organizations should be taking care of. But in the end, actually, the way to kind of start fast and start small is with projects that can move quickly, such as projects that we're all working on together, or we're all gathering together today. And I think that, just as Mohamed was talking about earlier, using these terms such as SDGs or circular economy or any of these, buzzwords which are floating about in this conversation, it depends on who you're talking to. Why are you talking to them about these words? Who's going to pick up these words and do something interesting with them? And your answer kind of harkens back to that point, I think, very well. Great. How about Hidetoshi? Do you have any, future plan in mind that you look forward to with your project in Hida?
Yes. So as I explained, as percentage of forest in Japan as well. So whole Japan also 60% is forest, and then so we don't have fossil fuel. Always so import from Middle East, and then also what our target is replacing fossil fuel to forest fuel or forest energy. And that means the surface of the earth, we have already enough energy for that, so we don't need to, the 100% to ask the fossil, I think. And also, Japanese people, after World War II, in this global economic, we are very separated from the forest actually. So we have many forests, but so people doesn't reach, and they couldn't reach, and then no way, so we go shopping center, but so a forest from Canada or other China, foreign wood is full lineup, and then so we don't reach regional wood. Such so very simple things. I want to gradually changing. And also, it's very basic things. We can reach natural local energy or resource, and making making the comfortable life architecture as well. That's so to pimp up such a percentage is my target. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your answer. Yeah. I've been now in Tokyo for about 4 years. And before that, I was in another area of Japan for 3 years. And it's been a great pleasure to see this kind of consciousness and interest in these topics grow very gradually, but very sustainably, not only among young people, but among consumers. And we're all consumers. So I think that, yeah, it's my pleasure to kind of see this, this growing movement in Japan as well, to focus on local, to focus on domestic challenges. And to think about materials in a new way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the last one is with the Soji Fair with Sergio. How do you think about this? What's going to be your kind of next benchmark moment for your project?
Thanks, Kelsie. We think that we have now all the money that we have won, we reinvested in our company, in all the process. We didn't won anything, but this is the career of entrepreneur. No, you know that. No, we have been working during six years now, but our dream is to be helpful for the poor countries, to be a solution them, to go with our reference, with free church, to help the people to take care of the planet and to have more healthy conditions, no, with our product in the countries that they cannot afford this kind of budgets of this kind of products. No, this is our dream, but is so far, but we are working now on that.
Nice. Well, in the event that you ever come to East Asia, please do give us a call. I would love to meet you all here as well and invite you warmly to FabCafe as well.
Sure, thank you.
Great. So with this, I'd like to go ahead and start to draw our summit panel today to a close. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen one last time. So thank you again so much, everyone, for joining us today. I know that you're all entrepreneurs and you're change makers, so I know you all have busy schedules, and I deeply appreciate your time and effort for today's panel. For those of you in the audience, if you are interested to reach out to us or to connect with one of the winners or the judges from today's panel, please feel free to scan the QR code, to please fill out the survey and let us know what you think. Any questions or comments are always appreciated. The next summit panel is going to be on the topic of system design and natural resources in the circular economy. We're going to be joined by moderator Cecilia Tam, who is a future synthesis and principal at the Futurity Studio in Barcelona, Spain. We will also be joined by judges Mariko McTeer, Enrique Lomnitz, as well as Guillaume Charnay-Brunet. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to talking to you again next time. Thank you, everyone, for your very insightful discussion, and I look forward to connecting with you all again in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Keep going. Bye.
Great.